It's always a good time to talk some Titans. And you know the thing about Titans is there's always room for more. And welcome to the Vigilante 1939 podcast, a father-son best friend dynamic, a podcast where we talk all things DC, Marvel, Star Wars, and more. Nick Caruso Jr., unfortunately, is out doing some Batman duties this week. So, in this week's episode, myself and Nico Caruso are going to be revisiting all things DC Titans and maybe some other stuff. But before we introduce our very, very special guest, Nico, how you doing, sir?
I'm good, man. I was going to come on here and try to give a little joke why my dad's not here today, like he quit or something, but I feel like that would freak him out and the listeners out, so I'm not going to do that. No, he just had a lot to do on this Friday. He's a very social man, so he called me last second to know that he wouldn't be able to do it, but he told us as always the show goes on. We have too much cool stuff to talk about tonight to skip. But Zeddy, so you brought up Titans, and Titans we say that there's always room for more. Titans is a family dynamic, so convenient enough, as the listeners know, reviewing Titans is kind of how we found our footing in this podcasting realm, and just when we thought that Titans wouldn't lead to any more connections, it did, because there's a friend of mine that Titans actually led us to reconnect. So I wanted to introduce our special guest today. So we have a TV host today, a TV anchor with a legit person today. So as we're due to ramble on a show once a week, this guy does it for a living and he nails it. I have a little story about how I know this guy, but from the CBS affiliate from Central Illinois, we have from WMBD News, we have Mr. Matt Sheehan. Matt, welcome.
Welcome, Matt.
Thank you, guys. Glad to be here. Love to talk Titans with you both.
And also, congratulations, just under a month ago, you just got married.
Man, just about a month. It's been great, exciting times. Love to see it.
That's awesome.
I really want to ask, does life feel different, or does it just feel like you're doing the same thing, but you have like a cooler status to you now? Like you're...
Oh, man. Dude, it's the coolest thing ever, man. It's the best experience, best day of my life. I mean, life is completely different, but in a good way.
That's awesome.
So, I was living alone. Now I've got a roommate and my best friend. So it's been amazing.
That's amazing.
So great to hear you refer to it as the greatest day of your life, because it would be weird if it wasn't. So glad to know it was. So just real quick story time for the audience. It could be fun here. Is so how we met, Matt, is we both were in the same fraternity in college, but two separate schools. I was at Elmhurst. It was Elmhurst College. It is now Elmhurst University in the western suburbs of Chicago. And I believe you were somewhere. Let's see if my memory's right. You were somewhere in Missouri, right?
Missouri State University.
Missouri State University. Shout out to Lambda Chi Alpha. I've never said what fraternity it was on air till now. And we were both at what's called the High Alpha Summit, which is the fancy way of we were both the little humble brag for the both of us here. We were both the presidents of our chapter at that moment in time, and we were roommates at a very nice hotel in downtown Indianapolis. So that's how we met, and little did I know, how long ago was that? 2016?
Dude, yeah, 2016, I think. 5 years, man.
It might be going on 6, because wasn't it in January? I think it was in January.
Yeah, it was.
And who would have thought that 6 years later we would be doing a podcast talking about Titans? It's cool though, right?
Nope.
It is cool, yeah.
Awesome.
So real quick, just to give our listeners an idea about yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, what you do on the TV station, kind of how you got into that, because I think it's cool. You're literally, and I don't mean to try to hype you up too much, but I want to, because you're a cool guy. You do a really cool job. So I want to hear about it.
Yeah. Dude, yeah, I just kind of found a love for writing. I found a love for performing. So in high school, I did choir, I did improv, acting, and so a lot of that obviously takes vocal training and stuff like that. And I always loved creative writing and just stuff like that. And so basically, dude, how it happened, I don't know if I've ever publicly said this, but when I was doing improv in high school, there was a game called Anchorman. And so I was always the Ron Burgundy of the
Yeah,
thing.
I love it.
And, after doing it a couple times, because we would have weekly shows, people were like, you're actually pretty good at that anchor thing. Like, you might want to look into broadcast journalism and stuff. And I was like, maybe, whatever. And so, yeah, just in the college process, I was like, let's do it. Like, I was looking at doing business, wasn't really my passion. I was looking at doing vocal performance in college, doing choir and stuff. I was like, I like it, but that's not my passion. So journalism kind of took hold, did that in college, and then here I am. Been working in Central Illinois for 3.5 years now. It's crazy how time flies.
Awesome.
Worked my way
Congratulations.
up from being kind of the the smallest reporter in the pond to a bigger reporter, weekend anchor, and now the morning anchor and TV host. So we do 4 hours straight, Monday through Friday, 5 a.m. to 9 a.m.
It's awesome,
Uh,
man.
Regular news, weather, sports, and then a lifestyle show for about 2 hours, and it's just a blast. So that's where like Titans has kind of come in. We'll talk about this more.
Sure.
Being able to do these celebrity interviews and stuff like that on the morning
Super
show,
cool, man.
perfect time for it. So
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Very cool. I remember I saw, speaking of the lifestyle one, I think it was right around the time we reconnected one. There was one where you were in the kitchen and there was like spoiled milk or something.
oh my god,
That was so funny. I had to run it back like 3 times because it was alive. Like you could tell it was not scripted by you at all. You smelled the milk,
dude.
and it was not what you wanted to do. It seemed like.
It was horrible. We had this super hot barbecue sauce. We had this segment called Try It Tuesday where I'll come in and I'll bring this surprise thing. And so it was this hot barbecue sauce called Wilbur's Revenge.
Okay.
And my co-hosts blindfold themselves and eat or whatever, and they have to guess what it is while also their mouth's on fire. So my mouth was on fire, and we were like, we gotta get water, man. We gotta get water. Oh. And so we find this gallon of milk in the fridge, and I'm like, milk, yes. And I pop the top, and I see the date. I'm like, it's July 21st. I said, what's the date today? It was like the 29th, man. It was a week late.
Full.
And I smelled it live on, and it smelled like spoiled milk. And I about lost my sauce, but I did not. So
It was great content, though. It played super well. I mean, it worked. I mean, you weren't feeling great, but we were watching it. It was like, oh man, he's really putting his life on the line for it here. I love it.
whatever
love
makes
it.
good TV.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I also wanted to congratulate you real quick. I didn't know this, but I feel like we've before reconnecting on Titans, we've sort of found each other. We gave some shout outs through like Instagram or Twitter and stuff when we had various accomplishments in life. But you're also a 3-time award-winning journalist that I see, which is awesome.
awesome.
What were those for, if you don't mind asking?
Yeah, absolutely. So we recently just got two. They were kind of statewide things. We got like the best digital presence for the year. So that's any sort of Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, social media stuff. We shined in that. In 2020, our whole team kind of came together when there were a lot of race relations issues in the summer of 2020. And our station kind of said, what can we do as journalists to highlight groups and people doing things to make our community a better place? And we did this whole special, and it took weeks and weeks, but it came together, and it actually won an Edward R. Murrow Award, which is like up there with an Emmy. It's a very prestigious.
That's
award.
awesome,
man.
So,
Congratulations.
that was kind of more of a team thing. And then, we also got the best weather for the year as well.
Heck yeah.
So it's on air, online, when breaking news and severe weather happens, we always have reporters out. I've covered blizzards, man, and flooding.
Yeah,
and
dude, you're
yeah.
out there, man. I love it.
It's fun. It's pretty interesting. So I appreciate you bringing that up, though. It's
No,
definitely a team effort,
sure.
but it feels good to know you're doing something like that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, man. And real quick before, because I know Zeddy's gonna kick off our Titan talk here. I have an 8-year-old client who always hits me with a fun fact. It's something we do at the end of our sessions at work. And actually, last week he hit me with a fact that I didn't know. Did you know that Benjamin Franklin was the first storm chaser?
No, that's cool.
He's the one who figured out. Yeah, right. Our listeners are like,
The
"What is he
Benjamin
doing?"
Franklin.
He's like one of the guys who's credited with like figuring out how to track like weather patterns. So
Oh.
every time you look at your every time you look at your $100 bill, don't just think, "Hey, he's a founding father." He was a storm chaser, and that's pretty badass, if you ask me. So Zeddy, I'm gonna stop talking. Kick off the
This
Titans
is
conversation.
awesome. Oh man. All right, yeah. So obviously we've kind of opened up Titans here a little bit, and Matt, obviously, you're a big fan of Titans, at least it would appear so. So before we kind of get into a deep dive, of how you got into Titans, just walk me through about what your overall thoughts are, of the show. It was once on DC Universe, then it moved over to HBO Max. So was this a show that you discovered when it initially aired? Were you bought into the premise? Just what are your thoughts on the show?
Yeah, absolutely. So I was not one of the kind of original fans, actually. I was a late bloomer per se. I'm not really sure how it came to be, but earlier in 2021, I was texting with a friend and he was like, dude, have you ever watched Doom Patrol? And I was like, nah, man, I haven't really, I've heard of it, but I haven't really got into it. And he's like, well, it's on HBO Max. And I had just gotten HBO Max, like with my AT&T DirecTV stuff, whatever. And so I was getting on there, and as a kid, I was a Teen Titans fan. Batman the animated series, Batman in general, man,
Mm-hmm.
my number one. Batman and Darth Vader for me. That's all. That's all I need.
True.
But I'm scrolling through HBO Max, and I finally have this, and I'm like, Titans. I was like, I've heard of that. I've never given it a try though. And so I knew it used to be on the DC Universe, which I had at one time, but now I got HBO Max, so I just transfer over there. So I said,
Mm-hmm.
okay. I said, what? I texted my friend, what do you think about Titans? Have you ever watched this? And he was like, yeah, I like Doom Patrol better though.
Mhm.
But I was like, Titans looks like more my vibe than Doom
Yeah.
Patrol. Not talking bad about Doom Patrol. I was like, Titans, that looks like my type of thing. So I started watching it. And I got hooked, man. I got hooked. It was cool. I like the dark aspects of it.
Mhm.
I like Brenton Thwaites as an actor to
Yeah.
Yeah.
be with.
Man.
And so I was like, dude, this dude's doing a great job. Everybody was doing a great, Tegan Croft was doing a great job.
Mhm.
I was like, this is a good cast. And so I just gave it a try, season one, season two. And then, with my job, I started being like, what if I interviewed some people like this?
That's
'Cause
cool.
I was a Brenton fan,
Yeah.
so I followed him on social media and I saw that he was doing this Australian film called I Met a Girl, directed by Luke Eve.
Mhm.
And so he had posted about it, and I commented on Brenton's post because it said that you could watch it on Netflix in New Zealand and Australia. And I was like, where can you watch in the US? And the director, Luke Eve, actually commented back at me and said, you can watch on Amazon Prime.
Mm.
And so then me and Luke Eve connected on Instagram, followed each other. I said, dude, I would love to interview Brenton and talk to him about your movie. And I kind of opened it up into this big, just kind of like, I don't even know, an autobiography of
That's cool.
Brenton's acting
Yeah.
career. Because I wanted to know about what's that, obviously I Met a Girl, Interview with God. That was kind of
Yeah.
a big movie that people had a lot of intrigue with. And then obviously Titans.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up doing, man, like I want to say 45-minute to an hour interview of
Wow.
just talking,
Awesome.
and so that was awesome. And that kind of took my fandom to the next level. And that's
cool.
where I got intertwined with Warner Bros. And kind of got, I would ask for an interview and then they'd send me, hey, can you do this interview with this actor here? So that's kind of where I'm at. I think the show's great. I'd love to hear what you guys think too, though. I don't want to talk too much.
No, dude, you love it. You're on here to talk, but it's cool that how one you were sort of a late bloomer because Zeddy and I, were on it from the very start. When it was announced, when Thwaites was cast. I think he was coming off. Zeddy, was he in the last Pirates of the Caribbean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
He was in that, right? Okay.
Probably how he got cast.
Yes. So, like, when he got cast, I'm like, wait, this guy's like a good actor. Okay, wait, he's gonna be Dick Grayson. He's gonna be Robin. I'm in. So then we've been along for the whole journey, and like we said, that's kind of how we really. It was the first when season 2 came out. It was like the first consistent thing we covered. So I think it helped us be. We learned how to podcast with Titans. Mm-hmm. Would you say that's fair? Is that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because I don't know what we were doing before, but
it was the most consistent thing I'd say we probably did.
The most consistent thing we were doing. But so thoughts on the show for me before we get back into that interview thing, because that's super cool that it was mainly like the following of the actor that really kind of exploded the opportunity, and Nightwing himself was the one who led you to the rest of the Titans. I think is amazing. It's like you joined the team. It's like you went out to San Francisco with him in the tower. Love it, man. For me, I love the show too. The thing I appreciate about it as a diehard DC Comics fan is it really tries to honor the source material well, and at the same time, it tries to do things really different. As someone who's also, a big fan of Star Wars, the MCU, etc., a lot of stuff in those universes can feel the same or repetitive. And I think at the time Titans came out, the Marvel stuff was such a formula, and it's great. I mean, it really works, but I'm like, okay, I'm looking for something else with some of my other favorite characters. And I had never seen that type of Robin on screen before. So when the show came on and it was like dark and F-bombs and violence, I'm like, okay. It's like my age Titans. I watched, like you said, Matt, I watched the Teen Titans as a kid, but now I'm like, no, I'm like 25. I'm trying to be edgy in real life. So I like to see my Robin be edgy. And it was mainly me falling in love with the cast too. I literally think every actor is really talented and they really give it their all. So it's not, I will say the show's not without faults, but I think the highs are exponentially higher than the lows, and we have a good time with it, and I think each season has gotten way better, and season 3 being the best out of the 3. Zeddy, your thoughts on Titans?
Yeah, I mean, I'm totally with you. I love the that original Teen Titans animated show. So when I learned that they were obviously going to have a more darker, edgier, more adult version of Titans, I was like, okay, like I think I can kind of vibe with it. Like, obviously, I'm a big Robin fan, so seeing that Robin was, like, the front and center of the show, and then eventually he would lead in a Nightwing, and then he would have his own team. I just thought that was cool on paper, and then obviously the whole, F Batman line was obviously the one that stirred up all this controversy, probably would turn a lot of people off, and kind of rightfully so, but I think the more that I got into it, I think the more that I think, you both kind of hit the nail on the head. It's more of like a show of moments. I would say, too, they really do try to give you these really comic booky moments. There's times where I feel like the show is smarter than it wants to be or tries to be. And you kind of have to appreciate what you see. Because, I mean, it does. It gives you a lot. So I would say I think each season has gotten better progressively. But I would probably argue, and I'm pretty sure you're probably going to touch on this too, Matt, that I think, especially where they end season 3, I'd say we're probably in the most promising part of the series. I would agree, especially as to where they end things. But I'll let you guys kind of piggyback off on that one.
Yeah. So we're just coming off of season 3. So Matt, if you had to rank the season, would you put 3 at the top? I would say, yeah, right.
I think I'd put 3 at the top, and then I love the darkness and the edginess of season 1.
Yeah,
it's something that really had season 2 be a strong force for me was Deathstroke, man.
Yeah. He was so good, man.
So I don't know about 1 and 2 where I'd rank them. It differs on the day. Season 3, and when I interviewed showrunner Greg Walker, I told him the videography, the sound. I mean, it's just crisp in season 3. Not that it wasn't. But like the HBO Max move has there's more money put into it, so obviously
100%.
But I still love the season 1, man. The nuclear family,
That was
just this
fun.
crazy. You didn't know when it was going to end. You didn't know how many there were, and like they were like this unstoppable, strong, just regular people that looked like everyday people.
Yep.
So there was this, kind of scariness about them that was a threat. So, but yeah, season 3, I think for me is number 1.
What's cool about as the show's progressed is you see where I think it's a show where, and you can maybe speak on this if Walker has shared this, because that's the only full interview I didn't get to watch all of, is you see where I think they figured out certain stuff that they could use, and then they use it, and they're like, well, our fans are going to love this, and they do it, which shows the amount of care they have for the fan base. But you're right, season 1 starts off with the nuclear family. That's a deep cut in DC lore. And then I think Grayson's journey plays out really nice at the end of the season 2. And then in season 2, you feel like, oh, they found out they could use like Slade Wilson. So they pump like the Death Show stuff super heavy. And then in this season, you see it. They're like, now we could use Gotham, and we can use Babs, and we could use Red Hood, and we could use Jonathan Crane. So I like how, like Zeddy said earlier, it really swings for the fences. I've always said too, it's kind of like a crude line, but I'm like, the writers have huge balls. Like this show it's not afraid to absolutely try to hit a grand slam. And I think a lot of the times when they try to, it works, or you could at least appreciate or admire the ambition. So any particular favorite moments from the latest season, from season 3, or favorite episodes, favorite characters, favorite arcs?
Dude, so I loved Curran Walter's episode. I believe it was episode 5.
Yeah.
Dude, 5.
Oh, man.
Man.
That one's great.
Yep.
It was beautiful, and it released just after I had interviewed him, too, and he told me, episode 5 and the finale, those are like the 2 that you got to watch. And so I agree with him. Episode 5 was awesome. I like Prodigal a lot. I believe that was episode 12, the second to last one.
Yeah.
Where we had Dick Grayson going through the woods, and he sees what appears to be his future child with Starfire, which I think just blew up the internet. So that was awesome. The Red Hood episode was great as well, because I think like episode 3 was Red Hood, and episode 5 a different name, and it was more about Jason Todd. So I appreciated all of those. I thought that episode 12 was really, really good. I even thought episode 12 was better than the finale. I think I need to go back and watch the finale. I don't know if I was in the right headspace, but I watched episode 12 and I was like, this is like top tier stuff. Mm-hmm. And then I watched the finale and was kind of like, it's over?
The finale definitely felt quick. Which is one of those, and that's the one thing that we've always critiqued the show on, is I feel like they spend a lot of time laying these awesome breadcrumbs for the end of the year, and they set up all these great arcs, and then it's like, there you go, wait a minute, next week's the finale. So we got to hurry up and put them all together. Mm-hmm. I still think there's some cool moments in that finale, but I agree with you, it ends and you're kind of like, oh, they did it. But I won't lie to you. I always smile ear to ear when there's like all the characters at once and all that cast at once, because I feel like that's what everyone's always wanted this whole time. Zeddy, let's reflect on our season 3 thoughts a little bit. What were some of your, now that some time has passed, right? What are some of the moments or episodes that are still sticking with you, my guy?
I mean, I think I'm kind of mad on this one too. I think the whole Red Hood stuff, as a whole, I think was really, really cool. I mean, he's such a character that's kind of really grew into like mainstream right now, and it's incredible. I thought, Kieran knocked it out of the park. To me, he's probably been one of the most consistent, well acted characters on the show as a whole. So for him to kind of get that moment and really take it and run with it, I thought was pretty awesome. Obviously, we touched on it before. I'm a big Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon fan of their relationship. So, to see that really get a spotlight too, and for them to unbelievably rip my heart out with the way that they end their relationship too.
Well, Titans Twitter was happy. We weren't. But Titans Twitter was through the moon. Titans Twitter was through the moon, and in episode 12 they were through the moon.
Yeah, and then Nico, I don't know if you may want, but I thought Connor Leslie absolutely took the ball and just kept running with it. It's not like she stopped. Like she literally took the ball and just kept going because she like whenever she was on screen. I mean, just what a force. And obviously, you know, where they end things too. I'm gonna agree like completely with what Nico just said. I think every season finale they've gotten us, you know, it's like they give us a show that I think we as fans always want. So I don't know where season 4 goes. I mean, my gripe with it is that they always split them up. So hopefully, if you know when they write season 4, I think I want them consistently together. But that's why I'm not writing the show, right? So.
Well, yeah, I wish I
Yeah.
was a writer on the show. I would do some cool stuff if I was a writer on the show, but then I would also do some wild stuff where they're like, "You want Roy Harper to be really violent?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because that's when he's at his best." But he needs to be on the show. By the way, we've teased him twice now.
Yeah.
I'm sick and damn tired. Put him on the show. Put him on the show. Have Colton Haynes come back from Arrow. Like just put him on the show. For me, Zeddy, I'm glad you brought up Connor Leslie's Donna Troy because she was always, I always thought just she has this charisma to her, to where even from her debut episode in season 1, she's really magnetic in the way you're like, okay, I want to see more of her. I want to see what she's about. I want to see what she can do. And season 2 kind of gave her that history, you know, with Aqualad, and it teased more into her and Dick's friendship. And then it really, you know, I think the show's always done a good job of showing her power, but not really her leadership. Because in the comics, like Donna Troy is a leader. She is one of the best, quote unquote, I hate to say sidekicks. She's one of the best legacy characters, I would say, in DC Comics, who has a lot of great moments and stories under her belt. And especially with the way she works off of other characters, her friendship with Dick Grayson throughout history, her relationship with Roy Harper, to where when they killed her, and I've been fair. I mean, I love Titans to death, but I did think the way that they killed her was really bad. I really disliked how she died in the season 2, and so when I thought that she was like kind of done, so I'm like, whoa, man, they're losing one of the stronger actors and characters, I think. And then when it was like, they didn't really hide that she was coming back when they announced in season 3, I think, to let people know, hey, I swear to God, stay with us. She'll be back. And then the season starts going, and we get to like episode 8, and we're like, okay, there's not only no Donna Troy, there's no Rachel. So when we get to Donna Troy's episode, I'm like, wow, this is great. And then her role for the last 4 or 5 is they really focus on her leadership skills and how she is something greater than she is at this moment in time. And I thought she nailed it. I thought it was her strongest acting of the series. And I really hope she's around for season 4, or maybe wink wink spinoff. I don't know. But that's actually ironically some of my favorite stuff in season 3, is I was already really enjoying the season a lot, as you know, as people who listen to the show. But when she came back on, I'm like, wow, she started like stealing the show as it got more and more, and especially the way they used her to be kind of the first mentor to Tim Drake in a way I thought was really clever. And I also like how self-aware they were when like she acknowledges like, oh yeah, I died at a carnival. And then she was like the lightning redirection in the finale. I'm like, okay, they're so on the nose, but she deserves it. She deserves the moment. So the Donna Troy stuff, and like Matt said at the top, like episode 5 is one of my favorite episodes of DC television. Just the dynamic between Jason and Bruce, and having Dr. Leslie Tompkins be the one to do it. You know, another great deep-rooted character in the Batman lore. The idea that he acknowledges what he did with Jason is tough, and how Jason just kind of wants a dad and just wants to be, you know, this better version of himself. It's a really polarizing episode, and I really like how it's an episode where they're not really in costume. It's just the characters. As Matt beautifully said, it's a Jason Todd episode. With all this Red Hood and Robin stuff, they really let us focus on the man behind the mask, and I thought it was great. So Matt, you said something that made me think. You said, okay, so you interviewed Curran and that episode came later. So were all these interviews, of course you released them, it looked like, throughout the year, but were all these at the same time? Were you able to catch the episodes early? Did you have to wait a week like everyone else? Tell us about just when those interviews were and how they changed throughout. Because was it interesting talking to some actors about like the earlier episodes and other ones about later ones?
Yeah, so it was very sporadic, but very well timed. So obviously, first it started with Brenton, but that was pre-season 3. That was a good 6 months ago. So
yeah, it's a long time ago.
But then Greg Walker, somehow him and I had followed each other on Twitter. So I messaged him and I was like, "Hey, would love to interview you about the show. Season 3 is coming up." And he said, "Yeah, just would love to. Just reach out to this email and we'll get that going." So that started. That was before the premiere. And then, I had kind of at that point made a connection with Warner Brothers and was like, I'd like to interview these people. So I sent the whole list, man. I mean, I sent like 8 to 10.
Yeah.
And obviously I only got to interview like 6 of them, but that's okay. Maybe at a later time. So then, obviously with episode 3 being big for Curran, episode 5 being big for Curran, so I did get screeners, so I was able to see like 2 episodes at a time, a week or 2 before. And so I don't know, I think it was before episode 3, it was the Curran interview. I would try to get those out as quick as possible because I'd like to announce them, and then once I'd announce them, people would be adding me like, where is this? Why? And I was like, okay, I gotta get these people some content here, man.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't 15 minutes after the interview that I did, it was in that day or the next day, I would have videos on my Twitter, people sharing and stuff, videos on my YouTube, getting that going a little bit too, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. And so Curran is where it started after Greg. And then obviously Blackfire was a big character in season 3. So they reached out to me and asked if I wanted to interview Damaris. I was like, heck yeah, man, absolutely. She was one of the people I wanted to talk to anyway. So we did that, and then Joshua Orpin was after that. And then, I obviously I had Brenton as well, was kind of the capstone. And it was unfortunate, not unfortunate, but the time they wanted me to interview Brenton, I was going to be on my honeymoon. So I was like, I'm going to miss this interview, but I can't do it in Mexico. So I said, hey, let's do it when I get back. And so we did it after I got back. And by that time, the finale had happened and all that. That's okay. But we did that. So they were sporadic, but they were timed very well.
What you could have done is interview him, but you have the gorgeous setting behind you and be like, you think you're a movie star, Brenton, but wait, here's how I'm living right now. But that's super cool that they were able to wait for you and that they wanted to still do it after. I gotta ask the hard question. And I know you're a TV guy, so you're diplomatic. I know you, but I'm going to make you try. And Zeddy is going to make you try. Did you have a favorite of those? Did you have a favorite interview? Was there a moment in the interview when you were like, this is awesome, where it's like a pinch me moment? Like, which one was your favorite? What was your favorite moment from it? If you have one, or it might be all of them, but I'm going to force you to say just one.
I appreciate the hard questions. I love that.
Yeah.
Curran and Brenton were awesome. I was like, man, these are some of my favorite characters in the show. I will say, who really blew it out of the water in the interview was Damaris.
I was gonna say she was so fun in that one. She was fun in all her interviews, but man, in yours, she had this energy. Oh, I loved it.
She was philosophical. She was energetic. She had me thinking. I was like, she is deep. She was like, I get out into nature.
She was
and that's
character.
how I learned how to be Blackfire. I wasn't doing this. I was out in nature. I was like, this is different. And so I told her, I said, man, I said, your energy, I mean, this is awesome. You're teaching me stuff here. And so I don't know about a favorite, but I will give props to Damaris that she knocked it out of the park for sure.
Awesome.
That's wonderful. So it's season 4 coming. A 2-part question here. Is there who from the cast this time around you did not get, who you're really going to try to go guns blazing for season 4?
Well, I really want Starfire. Absolutely. I think she just does an incredible job, blows it out of the water. I think obviously Nightwing is kind of the all-around favorite for people. but like Starfire fans are the most passionate. Like they love
Oh,
They
yeah.
love her.
So I would love to talk to her. I would love to talk to Ryan Potter. I've had a lot of people be like, "Talk to Ryan
Yeah.
Potter." I'm like, I'm trying. I'm trying, man. I want to talk to Ian Glenn about
I
being
was
Bruce
Yeah.
gonna
Wayne.
say, yeah.
It's a good one.
I've been trying to kind of work with that too and scheduling stuff. He's been having some other projects, but I think that would be awesome too. I think Tegan Croft would be great. I interviewed Jay Lycurgo as well,
Ooh.
but I would love to reconnect with him because he was an awesome interview too.
Yeah, he was fun.
Especially if somehow they spin that off.
Mm.
Yeah, that would be sick. Wink, wink. And then any hopes for season 4? Like, what are you, as a fan, as someone who's now gotten a taste of things behind the scenes and gotten a taste of these actors and how they manage their character and even their wants and desires? What are some things you want to see in season 4?
I'm just gonna come out and say it. I want to see Lex Luthor.
Oh, that
I
would
want
be
to see
sick.
him. I want him in there and in Superboy's Connor's story. I want to see that. I want to see a super strong villain as well. I know that there's also some rumors about who that could be, which I think would be awesome. I need to familiarize myself with this character and the following, but from what it sounds very BA to me. So I want to see Superboy shine. I want to see more powers. I don't know how far they're going to take him. Joshua Orpin said to me, he's like, I'm basically a less powerful Superman. And I was like, I want to see him more powerful. Let's see.
Let's see.
So I want to see that. That's a couple of things.
I love it. Zeddy, how about you? I know we've talked about it, but now that, like I said, more times passed, hopes.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned the word hope. Yeah, because Matt actually gave me like a wonderful idea that I actually didn't think of, and I don't know if they ever could pull this off. I don't know if this is maybe too big for the show, but they did Bruce Wayne, and that was pretty damn big if you ask me. So I would love to see a Superman in there, or maybe just a Clark Kent. That's kind of there. Maybe in a few scenes with Joshua Orpin, I think that could be like outstanding. And this may sound really corny, but I'm gonna say it anyway because I think the idea of Dick Grayson being a mentor is something that they've kind of teased for 3 seasons now. Like they show him obviously, being kind to Ryan Potter and Joshua Orpin, but he's never really been like that mentor, right? Like he was with Tegan Croft a little bit in season 1, then kind of season 2 they fall off a little bit. So I think they got a real shot, especially with Jay Lycurgo, if he's gonna stick around in season 4. I would love to see just like the two Robins like establishing a connection and kind of Dick Grayson taking more of like a opposite role of like a Bruce Wayne would and just being there for Jim Drake, because I think that could be one of the greatest things that I think probably any of us will see as a comic book fan.
Yeah. No, well said, Zeddy. You stole mine.
Oh, sorry.
I'm just kidding. See, for me, I mean, just because they've teased it so many times, I'm looking for the addition of Roy Harper. Yeah. I'm looking for a relationship with Donna. I'm still looking for Donna to have something to do if she's not, if these characters. A lot got set up at the end of the 3rd season too. So I hope if she's not on some other show or some other project, she pops in on Titans, just like 5 or 6 episode appearance. All I need, and give me Roy, because like I said, like you teased him twice, and he's cool, and I think he'll be a nice older character balance now that you have. R.I.P. to Hank. You got some of the older characters are now gone because I doubt Mink is coming back. I think that'll be cool, and I just want to see them together a little bit more. I think I have an idea, like filming wise, it is easier to have them in pairs or small groups for episodes, but I want a few more where they're doing things together, because like the opening fight sequence of this season when they're in the warehouse fighting, there's another couple fight scenes with the whole team, I think, at the end of episode 7 or 8, and then of course 12 and 13. That stuff is so fun to see, just as like a geek, to be like, wow, we got all the Titans on screen. So that's just what I'm looking for. And like Matt said, yeah, we need a Lex, we need a villain, like we need someone big, because we used a lot of goth, like huge A-list Gotham stuff in terms of Crane and Babs. So let's pull some other A-list stuff from the DC realm. So Lex, a Clark Kent, Zeddy. There's no reason you can't have like a Diana Prince show. Like there's no, if you could do Bruce Wayne, who we all thought was like the one untouchable, because the CW's been trying for years, and they finally let Hush show you what his face looks like on Batwoman, and they've name dropped him before, but on Titans they're like, yeah, no, here's Sir Jorah Mormont is Bruce Wayne, which I still love him as Bruce Wayne. I will die on that hill. I think he's great. I will die on that hill. There needs to be someone for Superboy. I agree with you both. There needs he's too powerful. He's too big of a DC Comics character to still be kind of sideline. And I want to see Beast Boy transform more than he got the bats. He did it. He got the bats. One more animal each year. We add a different animal. But that would be my wish. So Matt, before we kind of freestyle and kick into some other stuff, because we love your Titan stuff, but we also know that you're a fan of a lot of other stuff, and we try to cover a lot here on V39. So any last thoughts on Titans, your experiences with the show, or anything you can tease that you already have for season 4? Because I think the way it's kind of slipped, there might be a 4 and a 5. And in your interview, I know it was in a few interviews, but that was in yours too.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I don't know if I should feel bad for that or not. I mean, I didn't even ask. You know?
No, I know, it just came up.
No, not my fault. No, but so I think what we're gonna see a little bit in season 4. I don't know a ton, but what I do know and what I've heard is that I should say what Brendan Thwaites told me is that the first couple of episodes are going to be kind of this road show. So I don't think the full season is going to be like a road trip, road show, but I think we're going to see some of that for a little bit. Obviously, they got to go on this bus all the way to San Francisco. And so what he kind of said is like, how are we going to see this team grow along the way? Who are we going to meet along the way? And so I think that there's going to be some interesting stuff with that. He did tease, we really need a big villain. We really need a big villain. So that's why I'm like, come on, somebody.
Yeah.
I think I asked him about what he liked to see as Superman or a Lex, and he was all for, that. And I've kind of seen whispers here and there about a Lex Luthor coming in as well. So I think that is possible. I don't know about likely, but I think that's very possible. So I see that. I mean, back when I interviewed him like 6 months ago, I mean, the possibility of a season 5, what we talked about it, I'm pretty sure. I mean, I remember I asked, how long do you want to go, or how many seasons you guys going to have? He was like, oh, I think like, we're focused on season 3, but I think about 5 or something like that. And we'll see what happens after that. So that wasn't a huge shock to me. And I had heard him talk about it too on Rotten Tomatoes Instagram Live, which was just a train wreck.
His internet.
Oh, man.
He just said, on Instagram Live, for some reason, his internet just craps out. So I was like, at least it's not on mine.
Yeah.
We were on Zoom, so which was good. So I think the fans really want to see Dick and Corey romantic relationship.
Yeah.
I think that's a big one. I'm on that train. I'd love to see it. I love their dynamic. Let's just make it happen. Let's not, tease the fans with this, then tease the fans with that and let them down. Let's commit to something. And so that's what I'm going to say about that.
Awesome,
man. It gets me hyped too, and I'm down for the road trip idea.
Yeah.
Even if it's a few episodes, I love it. So Zeddy's the master of the freestyle.
Yeah.
It's Zeddy on the track.
Man, that's awesome. Yeah, so obviously, Matt, thank you so much, just for sharing what you could and obviously what you wanted to about Titans. That's awesome. So outside of Titans, outside of, streaming and TV and all that, obviously there's a lot coming with DC, Marvel, and Star Wars. So let's maybe just stick on DC for right now, and then we'll talk about some Marvel and Star Wars. So is there anything like on the DC side that you're really excited for, whether that's the Batman, Aquaman, Shazam, The Flash. Is there anything on the DC side that you're really hyped for?
The Batman is my number one thing right now.
Absolutely.
When the Batman starts doing press, I want to be all over that. Absolutely. I'm so hyped for that. I hope I'm not too hyped, to be honest, but I think the hype is there. I think it's going to deliver. I hope it opens up a realm that can continue for a while. Black Adam as well. I'm a big fan of The Rock. I think he's going to deliver as well and come at that. And he says he's gonna change the DC universe, and so I'm like, The Rock can do that. I believe this. So that Aquaman 2, I'm excited for that. I'm excited for Shazam. I'm really excited for The Flash with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, it's gonna be huge.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think people are excited about that. So those are kind of my top ones in the DC universe right
That's
now.
awesome.
Yeah, there's something about the Batman trailers that they're just two of like the best trailers ever. I mean, really, two of the best trailers ever. It's and what's cool is I really hope you get some. I really hope you get some action when the press for that starts, because I do think that project's going to be something special, and I think the creativity both in front of and behind the camera are really special too. So just to hear about some of those processes and to hear how they had to do a lot of that in COVID too. That's always interesting to hear how shows work around that. Those are awesome. Yeah, we're mainly we talk about everything, but we do lean DC. So just hearing you hype for all those things get us excited too, because it shows that there are other people who are very hyped for those. I wanted to bring up because you said you're a big Batman guy. Check. You said you're a big Vader guy. I know you're going to C2E2. And I know you're trying to talk to one of the GOATs is coming back to Kenobi, Hayden Christensen. I know you're going to try to talk to that guy, but tell me, what's your hype for not only all things Star Wars, but mainly Vader? Because he's coming back, and we might see him. This might be I know, of course, like Empire Strikes Back, the GOAT, the original trilogy is God tier, but with this modern technology and the way that I think Disney Plus is beautifully handling Star Wars, I think we're going to see some of the coolest Vader stuff ever. So as a Darth Vader fan, he's someone that you said, I wrote it down that you like Vader. Tell me about how excited you are.
Dude, the volume that is used in The Mandalorian has taken things to the next level. I think that is the future of just media and entertainment in general. But I do not think I've been as excited for any project as I am for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And I might be getting myself into some trouble with that, because when you get these high expectations, sometimes you get chopped down. But if you're met, man, it's going to be awesome. That is going to be incredible, I think. I have always been a huge Hayden Christensen fan. I will, just like you with Ian Glenn and Bruce,
die on the hill.
Die on the hill that he is an incredible Anakin Skywalker, that he played the part perfectly, and great Darth Vader as well. Like, just the perfect mix. His acting skills, incredible. I hate what happened to Jake Lloyd. I hate what happened to him with bullies and cyber bullies and all this stuff, man. I can't stress that enough, that it just sucks. And I don't think that they deserved it. And I think their careers changed because of this. But now people are sitting here saying, we want him back. We want him back.
Yeah, see, it's always when time passes, man. It's
you realize what you had. And I think a big part of why people were complaining so much was the writing and the uncomfortability of that. And but that's who Anakin was supposed to be.
Yeah.
So that's a whole rabbit hill I can get on, but I'm not going to. So when it comes to that, I am going to C2E2 in December in Chicago. He is not doing interviews at C2E2.
Got it.
But I'm going to see if I can get something before.
Or after? Cool.
Via Zoom or after. I do plan to meet him, awesome. Which maybe then can make that connection as well. I know he's going to be on Sunday, and then John Cena is going to be there Saturday. So I plan to meet John on Saturday.
That's awesome.
Do you think you're going to see him though?
Oh, there it is.
You think you're
He made it first.
We made that
He
joke
did it first.
on this show so many times, and yet it always works. It always works. But that's awesome, Zeddy. I'm thinking. I know it might be tough to swing, but if Matt's going, we might have to do C2.
Oh, we got her, man. We got her.
We might have to do it just to hang out with our guy here even for a little bit, because I technically haven't seen him in person in 6 years. So it would be nice to see him in person. I've seen him virtually. Man, I want to get your thoughts on him because I completely agree. I think I'm excited for Hayden back. I'm with you. I've been an avid defender of him. It's hard to always defend Attack of the Clones, but Revenge of the Sith is easy. He's great in there. And Jumper is not a bad movie. That's a decent movie he made. It's a pretty decent movie. But I'm just excited for his redemption. Like you said, it's and Zeddy always quotes this. He kind of always says that like nostalgia is in right now for the past few years, and I think that's going to stay that way. And I think primarily with Star Wars, what Disney Plus is doing is it's doing a great job of giving new stuff, i.e. The Mandalorian, Andor, Rangers of the New Republic, and then it's really giving the fans things they've been clamoring for forever. So in Obi-Wan show with those two coming back, a Boba Fett show, I'm a big Boba Fett guy, as you're gonna learn really fast, and Ahsoka Tano show, like a GOAT Star Wars character. So to see him come back and to see people so happy is great for him, because I do think he dealt with a lot of crap for a long time for no reason. And I still will say, and I don't know why, if I find out it was because of scheduling or whatever, that's fine. But how he was not visible at some point in the sequel trilogy to me, especially Rise of Sky. I know his voice is in there, and it was like a nice little consolation, but how he was not visible as a Force Ghost or whatever in the sequel trilogy is, to me, a massive misfire. So... But now that he gets his own show with Vader is like cool. So I'm like, all right, okay, I'll forgive that trilogy and I'll do this. Just because I have to ask, because I'm someone I've had to defend more than Hayden Christensen in my life with Star Wars fans is Boba Fett. Because so many times, he went out like a chump. He's only in 6 minutes of screen time. He's only cool in comic books and toys and video games. Well, all that is true. But guess what? He's getting his own show, and I have a poster here to prove it that I had to pay $5 for at AMC in Yorktown. I don't want to talk about it. But just give me your hype on Boba Fett, just because when I hear other people hype for Boba Fett, it makes me happy. Are you excited for the Book of Boba Fett? It's the most recent thing that's going to be coming from the Star Wars realm on the streaming service. Talk to me about if you're hyped for Book of Boba Fett. Say yes, please say yes.
I am absolutely hyped, man.
We got
for sure. Anything Star Wars, man, I'm hyped pretty much. So I'm no hater here. I love Star Wars. So I think that it will be the perfect kind of gateway before we see any sort of Kenobi, before we see any sort of Ahsoka Tano. I think when Boba returned in The Mandalorian, his redemption, you talk about redemption.
Yes.
That was on full effect, man. He is incredible. So I do think that in the, original trilogy, I did think he went out stupidly.
He did. Yeah, 100%.
Which sucks for me because I was there with his little action figures thinking this dude's the coolest dude. Then I'm seeing him, are you kidding me? Die like that. So to see him come back is awesome. I am absolutely hyped for this. I think it will. I think that it's kind of, I think people are excited for it, but I think it's kind of being slept on right now.
I agree.
But I think it will shine. I really do. Because you've got Mandalorian Season 3 people are waiting for, Ahsoka, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I think this will shine.
And I like how the trailer didn't show like anything, and I bet all that's from the first episode, which is how Mando did it. If you look back, those, especially for season 2, like the season 2 trailers were like the first 3 episodes, and then of course episodes 3 through 8 of that show were legendary because there was someone popping up. Ahsoka, we got Bo-Katan, we got Boba Fett, we got Luke friggin' Skywalker. Spoiler, you've had to have watched it by now. It's been a year, like.
Yeah,
so I'm not worried about spoilers. But real quick, Matt, were you a Clone Wars Rebels guy?
Dude, yes. I probably started getting into Clone Wars beginning of the pandemic. I freaking watched those boom every day, man, watching a couple. So I got into that, and then I started giving Rebels a chance after I was done with that. So I timed things out very well. I timed things out very well. I watched them all. Then I was
love it.
done.
It's awesome.
And then the final season of Clone Wars came out, and I was like,
Oh, dude.
perfect timing.
Right. I love that. And just real quick, and it's cool that you're on for this and we're talking Star Wars, because Zeddy, we technically got news today. I do not know the actress specifically, but we got our Sabine casting today for Ahsoka. Massive character from those two stories. So once again, like I talked about earlier, we're getting these characters in live action, and I'm still wondering when the Ahsoka show timeline. It's show Ahsoka. That was like alliteration there. It sounded the same in my mouth. I didn't like it. Possible, there's a Kenobi show. Is Sabine, like, where are they? Are they gonna cross over? Because they had a little history there. So that's pretty cool. Zeddy, you want to bring it to the MCU side?
Yeah. So obviously this one might be.
There's a big
I know
one
this one might be inevitable. So obviously, Matt, obviously the biggest thing probably in Marvel talk right now is obviously Spider-Man No Way Home. They just dropped a glorious trailer which teased a lot of things, but 2 people. So, Matt, obviously, I just want your thoughts here. Hype for No Way Home. Speculatively, do you think they are in the movie, and what are you hoping to see out of the movie?
So let me say this. I believe if Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire don't show up in No Way Home, this is going to be the most disappointing movie since 2017 Justice League. Not Zack
Thank you,
Snyder.
Matt. Thank you, Matt.
2017.
He's one of us.
He's one of us. Not more. That's what I'm going to say. We need these two. I think there are rumors, there are leaks, there's all this stuff. I know. So Andrew Garfield, he did a interview a couple of days ago. I believe it was on the Today Show, and they were asking him about his movie on Netflix. Was it TikTok something? And they were asking him all about this, and then their last question was, "Are you in Spider-Man?" They tried to get it out of him, and he started laughing. He said, "You guys are good at your job, and I'm better at mine." So he said, "No, I'm not in the movie." But also earlier in the interview, he said that he was a really good liar, and he told them, "I'm better at my job than you." So obviously, it's not his job to tell them. Like, if he'd spoil that, that would be really bad, obviously. So I'm holding out hope. I do think it'll be great if they're not in it, but I will be extremely disappointed. But I think the hype is there. I think that you talked about nostalgia.
Yeah.
Green Goblin, Doc Ock.
Oh, man.
Ant-Man. Are you kidding me? We're going to have it.
Who's your favorite live-action Spider-Man go right now?
I got to go with Tobey.
I love you, man. So much,
I got to, man. I grew up with that. Are you kidding
Matt,
me?
listen, Matt. Not in the least weird way possible. Your wife needs to be concerned now because you said 2 things in there. You talked about Zach's Justice League and you talked about Tobey Maguire, man. I might have to steal you away, man. Those are 2 things. Those are two things that are very near and dear to my heart, man. I've been searching for someone, man. I'm just kidding. Not to be weird. I'm very happy for you.
That's awesome.
I wish you nothing but a long, healthy life together. Not creepy. You give her the best from
Just
us.
got married. I want to steal you away.
Totally. Yeah, man. Yeah. So, honey, so I did this podcast and this guy who I did it with, he says, so I think I'm just going to go. So, I think I'm just going to go, live with him for a bit. He was that charming and charismatic. I'm just kidding. But yeah, no, happy to hear that. Any other, there was just Disney Plus Day. So they're announcing a lot of the content coming to that service, but there's also a big slate of films coming. Actually, some of them are going to be pushed now. I know the Marvels, and I think there's rumors that Wakanda Forever will be pushed to 2023. But we got some cool films coming up in Phase 4. Of course, the big one kicking off with Spider-Man. Then we go to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, which sounds bonkers. Then we got Thor later in the year. So both film and TV, and maybe even some animated stuff. What in the MCU is getting you excited? If anything, you might not be an MCU guy. I don't know.
I am. I do lean towards DC, but I do love the MCU. I mean, my focus right now is No Way Home, obviously. I do want to see how they're going to continue the story of Thor. I know that they're making a Spider-Man animated series, and so I want to see how they're going to do this. I'm just excited for Disney stuff in general. I know they're going to do a Cars series. I mean, I used to love Lightning McQueen, man. You know, I'm like that'll be kind of fun and interesting. So, yeah, that's kind of what I'm leaning towards. But again, I kind of always got my eyes on DC and what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, for sure.
What's like your dream DC project that you want to see them make, or are they making it? And it is like the Batman, or it is Black Adam, or
Wow. So my dream was Batman versus Superman, which we got, which I love the movie, but it disappointed a lot of people.
Yeah,
dude. But that was
saying all the right things for V39. This is he studied beforehand. He's saying all the right things. It's too convenient. I'm just kidding, man. Keep going.
You guys paid me, but not. So that was it. I would say now, obviously, I want to see the Batman story. I don't know why, guys, but I want to see the most BA Killer Croc of all time.
Please, I'm with you.
They've never really had a super strong Killer Croc. I mean, you had him in the animated series a little bit, and I just want to see a super. Like, I know that this Batman film is kind of going in a horror direction. You know, I'm thinking of Killer Croc horror. You can make him frightening if you really wanted to. So I would like to see something like that, and we got to see Henry Cavill return.
Thank you,
Superman.
There it is.
We have to.
That's the key to Zed. You just said there it is. The key to Zed is
Can we just say, let's just say it, guys. Hashtag restore the Snyderverse. Can we just say it?
Hashtag restore Snyderverse. We need, I need to see these characters keep going. I want them all to keep going. And how there has not been a Superman anything, a solo project since 2013. And I know there's great stuff happening on TV. I'm not devaluing that, but on film, Superman on film was a mainstay back in the 70s. I mean, it should be the case now because Batman always gets the redo. He always gets to keep going. Where's that for Superman? Zeddy, do you want to comment on the Superman thing real quick? Because I feel like you have to.
Yeah,
I feel like you have to.
I just echo everything Matt said. You know, I mean, I think, you know, if DC wants to quote unquote try again or just keep going, I think you got to have Superman, whether it's a standalone or part of a connected universe. He's just got to be there. I see no universe in which they do a DC universe, and he's not there. I mean, if they want to try with Supergirl and they make Superman a minor character, I think that's fine too. I think people just want to see him be there, to be quite frankly. I think people just want to know that Superman's there, to be honest.
And I feel like The Rock keeps he likes it. I feel like he's gonna use him. But I did see something that was like, this would be a really sad consolation prize, but there's a rumor that in the upcoming Super Pets that Superman's gonna cameo and it's like Cavill's voice. I'm like, that's great and all, that's cool, but I need him to fight The Rock. I need him to fight Black Adam. I think if I had to put my money on it, guys, I think we're gonna see him again. I just don't know to what capacity. Like Zednick said, like I don't know if he'll be like popping up in like The Rock's angle of the universe, if he is gonna get his own solo project, if he's gonna be like a supporting role in a Supergirl project. I don't know, but he needs to do that. He did say today he's committed to all 7 seasons of The Witcher. I said, I think that's great, but free up some time for the cape because it's still in his closet. So he said, Variety said it, or he did an interview, I think, with Variety last week, or maybe Vanity Fair, where he's basically said it's still on the table. So let's hope it is, because there needs to be more Superman, because that symbol is so important, and right now I think the world needs that symbol more than ever. But well said, Matt. Any last things you want to talk about or tell us about your fandom? Is there a genre or something you're really into that we didn't talk about today that you want to let people know that you love, and even it might pique our interest, it might pique the interest of our listeners, maybe someone else likes it too?
Yeah, I loved Superman and Lois. I did. I watched it as the episodes would come out on HBO Max. I thought that Tyler Hoechlin, I hope I'm saying his last name correct. I believe I am. I think he did a great job, and I think that he did a great job at Clark. I do think that he was a great Superman. And I think that he did a great job as Kal-El as well. So he did all three very, very well. Obviously, they're the same person, but you guys
Yeah.
get the
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, totally get what you mean.
So I don't know, man. I think with Henry Cavill, back to him a little bit, I think we need to see him in the Rock's universe and also Shazam, or just kind of tie these three together
Yep.
somehow. Henry Cavill's been really working on his fitness lately, guys.
Dude,
He's like a guy with I believe it's Muscle Nutrition, some sort of company, and they're really boosting that out. And obviously, The Witcher, he's got to be, obviously huge for that. You got to be at that standard to just go against The Rock.
Oh yeah, you got.
So I think that's a good gateway into this. I think that The Rock could possibly be the key to restoring the Snyderverse. He's the people's champ. That was his thing in WWE, but he kind of keeps that into his entertainment career now. He does what the people want to do. He does where the money leads and where the success grows and stuff like that. And he likes to make people happy.
Yeah.
And what would make people happy is restoring the Snyderverse, Henry Cavill returning, all that jazz. So
I think we're going to see it. I'm confident. Well said. Zeddy, any closing thoughts as my Cavill, as my Superman here?
Oh man, I'm just excited. I'm just excited for hopefully all this. Matt, just thank you so much for everything that you shared. I mean, whether Titans, DC, Marvel, Star Wars, I mean, I think all of us are in agreement that it's just no better time to be a fan right now. No matter what sector, a fandom you're in right now. I mean, it's incredible. And to hear the perspective of, a great professional like yourself, to offer a news perspective of what it's like to really be in the inside sometimes of a lot of this stuff, to me, was super exciting. So thanks for everything that you wanted to share and were able to share. Just thank you. So sincerely.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys thinking of me. It's always fun. What's so fun about everything is like, first I'm a fan of Titans and all this stuff. And then the fact I get to do that with work and stuff, like this is like my passion project. So
that's awesome. Well, I guess that's probably a great way to wrap it up, Nico, unless you wanted to add anything else, sir.
No, I'll just keep rambling. We'll get his plugs. We'll get our plugs.
I was gonna say. So, Matt, of course, before we wrap up, thank you so much again for taking time out of your day to join us and talk with us. So please plug everything that you got going on in your life, where people can find you. Plug it all, sir.
I appreciate that. Across the board, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, it's Matt Sheehan TV. Instagram is the Matt Sheehan. You just type in Matt Sheehan, it'll probably pop up. Those are kind of what I'm the most active on. I think my Facebook, my Twitter, Instagram is kind of more like my personal life, not superly my professional. The Facebook is almost all professional, but I like to add some fun stuff in there. And then Twitter is, I would say, mostly all professional. So keep on going with that. I like to put kind of my newsy work on my YouTube to let people see my stuff, for maybe down the road, news directors and stuff seeing it, sliding in, which has happened a couple times. Happened today, actually, but
awesome.
We're not going to talk about it too much.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Well said. And once again, dude, thank you so much for spending an hour with us talking about random stuff. It's cool. I do want to thank the Lambda Chi Alpha fraternity that allowed for this connection to not only start but keep growing. And what's cool is that just knowing the values and knowing what we kind of went through and believing to be a part of that organization. When I saw your interview with Thwaites a few months ago, when I was like, man, he's in the Titans, I knew when I shot you that DM, I'm like, I think he's going to respond because we have just this one little wavelength. And dude, I hopefully we could do this again sometime. Maybe we'll see you in person at C2E2. But for now, we wish you nothing but health and success, not only in your career, but in your life and your newfound marriage as well. And just, I think our listeners are in for a treat with this one because you're like the biggest guest we ever had, and a lot of cool stuff you told us today. And who knows, there might be some aspiring journalists in the audience who want to get your thoughts on some stuff, and we would be absolutely happy to form those connections. So thank you so much for joining us again in Zach's Chops. Only we know what that means. I'm not going to tell you guys what that means. You can follow me everywhere at NIKKO, as I swerve right away. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, TikTok at Nico Caruso. Of course, that's at NIKKO, CARUSO. On my TikTok and Twitter, I just reviewed House of Gucci. Zenick and I caught an early screening of that. If you want my Spark Notes on it, there was a lot of other films I wish I watched last night. No disrespect. And then this episode will drop. We did a No Way Home Twitter space after the trailer dropped on Tuesday. So if you joined that, there was like 50 different people who came in and spoke. It was a great time. We're going to have double episodes this week. We're going to break down the No Way Home trailer in more detail when Pops can come back. And there will be an episode of Italians for Spidey, the Italian Spider-Man show I'm on, where we talk about that trailer as well. And of course, we didn't have an episode this week, but Right Between the Eyes, a show I do about the greatest rock band of all time, Kiss, I do with some friends as well. So Zeddy, wrap it up. My captain, my king, my Aragon, my Superman. Go ahead.
Aragon. I think it's the first time I've ever been called that. That's amazing. Thank you.
Gotta talk about.
Oh man, I know they're coming up with a show too. Oh my god.
I know.
Wow. You guys can follow me on Twitter. It's just my name at Nick Zednick, NICKZEDNIK. You can also go give my Letterboxd a follow at Zeddy Films. I try to at least watch one movie, TV show a week, keep everything up to date. Hopefully give you guys a few recommendations. I do want to promote the Vigilante Patrol, where myself and my partner Claremont knows, Emmett Davis, were covering all of Doom Patrol Season 3. I got a Season 4 announcement, so we took the time to really give all of our hopes and maybe concerns of Season 4 too, because that's also fair too. So that'll be dropping in the feed sometime very, very soon. Follow this show on Twitter at Vigilante1939. Feel free to head over to Apple Podcasts and iTunes and consider leaving a rating and a review. You can also find us wherever else you get your podcasts at. So I think that's going to about do it for this week's episode. So for Nico Caruso, for Matt Sheehan, my name is Nick Zednick, and as Mike Keaton's Batman always says, I want you to tell all your friends about me.
We live in a society.